I've had a 9mm on my hip for more years than I can even remember. I've run cases of it through every platform, from the newest polymer strikers to my good old steel-framed hammers. But if you've been paying attention to what's happening at the range, and you look at the industry landscape right now in 2025, you can't miss it. We are seeing a ballistic shift. Newer calibers and some of the revitalized classics are seriously encroaching on the territory that the 9mm Luger used to hold without any real contest. What is going on, freedom lovers? This is Gunman Ballistic. Today, we are going to break down the specific cartridges that are showing up in the range bags of serious shooters, and we need to talk about why the 9mm is no longer the automatic default answer for everything. Why 9mm ruled walk onto any firing line in America, and odds are you're still going to see most folks stuffing a magazine with 9mm. For a long time, that was my go-to loadout too. I had a Glock 19 riding in the holster, a case of ball ammo in the truck, and a system that just worked. The logic behind it is rock solid. When you find that perfect balance of price, terminal performance, and availability, the 9mm earned its title as the undisputed king of the hill. It was never the best at any one single metric, but it did everything well enough to set the gold standard. This really took off back in the 80s when NATO standardized it. That decision cascaded right down to domestic law enforcement. Then, when the FBI stepped away from the 40 Smith & Wesson and reevaluated their ballistics protocol, they landed squarely back on the 9mm. They found that modern bonded hollow points could deliver penetration and expansion that was neck and neck with the 40, but with significantly less muzzle flip and higher magazine capacity. That decision created a massive domino effect. Once the federal agencies made the switch, the civilian market was quick to follow. Then came the concealed carry boom, when pistols like the SIG P365 hit the gun counters, giving you 10 or more rounds of 9mm in a handgun, barely bigger than a J-frame revolver. The debate was effectively over. The recoil was manageable for new shooters. The hardware was becoming more efficient every single year. And the ammo was cheap enough that you could stack it deep. It became the American default, not because of a political mandate, but because the shooting math simply worked out. But right now, the serious concealed carrier is taking a step back and asking a very hard question. What is the upgrade path? So, let's investigate the calibers that are actually carving out their own territory in 2025 and exactly why they are gaining serious traction. Number 1. The Capacity King. 30 Super Carry. Let's dive right into the 30 Super Carry. If you have ever actually run a magazine through a Shield Plus chambered in 30 Super Carry, you might have noticed the slide tracks differently. It feels noticeably smoother. That is absolutely not a fluke. Federal did not engineer this cartridge just to chase a fad. They designed it specifically to change the math for concealed carriers who obsess over footprint and magazine capacity. The 30 Super Carry pushes a 100-grain Hornady HST projectile at roughly 1250 feet per second. Ballistically, you are looking at energy and expansion that lands right in the 9mm wheelhouse, but the smaller diameter brass gives you a critical advantage. You get 13+1 capacity in a frame that used to max out at 10+1. That is not some theoretical whiteboard math. That is real steel, real magazines, and repeatable reps on the firing line. The recoil impulse is just a hair lighter, which is enough to shave noticeable split times off your double taps without you fighting the muzzle rise. That tight grouping you are always chasing with your micro compact 9? It is significantly easier to hold that group together with this round. Now, I will be real with you. It is not a budget plinking round. Defensive loads are currently hovering around $35 a box, but you are paying for nickel-plated brass, sealed primers, and propellants that burn clean. I have dissected enough of these rounds after my own range sessions to confirm the consistency in the crimping and the expansion tests. Those HST pedals bloom exactly the way you need them to, even when they're fired from a short 3.1-inch barrel. This round isn't trying to wipe the 9mm off the map. It's carving a specific lane for people who want deeper magazines without stepping up to a physically larger firearm. And if you think 3 rounds is a small detail, go ask anyone who carries appendix if they would refuse a 30% capacity increase. Number 2. The Velocity Specialist. 5.7 by 28mm. Coming up next, we are shifting into something with some serious velocity. We need to discuss the flat-shooting 5.7 by 28mm and how it fundamentally changes the engagement rules. The FN 5.7 was the first handgun I ever gripped that truly felt like it was hiding a rifle action inside the polymer. That is the wildcard factor of the 5.7 by 28mm. It doesn't try to outmuscle the 9mm. It completely outthinks it. You get negligible recoil, an extended effective range, and massive capacity. You don't feel a heavy blast. You feel surgical precision. The cartridge itself utilizes a 40-grain, 22.4 diameter projectile, absolutely screaming at around 2,300 feet per second out of a 5-inch barrel. Calling it flat shooting is a massive understatement. I zeroed my optic at 25 yards and I was still ringing steel dead on at 75. The bullet drop just does not exist in the same way it does with the 9mm parabolic arc. And the thing that really gets you is how that bottleneck case feeds. It is exceptionally clean, with zero nosedives. It runs smoother through double-stack magazines like the PSA Rocks 23 rounder than most 9mm setups I have ever handled. The FN 5.7 features a polymer over steel slide assembly and an internal hammer-fired system. The controls are fully ambidextrous. The slide rides a little higher than your typical striker-fired gun, but the muzzle stays absolutely pinned during follow-up shots. Ruger's take on this caliber uses an anodized aluminum slide and a crisp hammer-driven fire control system that feels very secure. Their magazines are polymer reinforced with steel feed lips, and they hold 20 rounds flush. The ammo cost is higher, there is no doubt about that. You are looking at $38 to $50 for defensive loads like the Gold Dot or the Elite Defender. But when you factor in the soft armor penetration capability, the lack of recoil, and the laser-flat trajectory, the full equation makes perfect sense. This is not a plinker's round. It is specifically built for mission-oriented shooting in a handgun chassis. Number 3. The Powerhouse. 10mm Auto. Now, if you are thinking that speed is nice but you really want something that hits like a freight train, we are definitely not done yet. Enter the 10mm Auto. When you grip a Springfield XDM Elite chambered in 10mm, the sheer heft alone tells you this is not for light duty. You press that trigger, feel the slide cycle with serious authority, and you immediately realize this is not about internet debates. It is about pure torque. It is about carrying a cartridge that was built to punch through barriers that a 9mm wouldn't even scratch. The 10mm is not replacing the 9 out of nostalgia. It is doing it because shooters are finally demanding more kinetic energy, more effective range, and more decisive fight-stopping capability. A 200 grain load like the Underwood XTP leaves the muzzle at 1,250 feet per second, pushing nearly 700 foot-pounds of energy. That is genuine power. That is hitting harder than most 357 Magnum loads, but you get it with the benefit of semi-auto capacity and much faster reload speeds. The XDM Elite OSP comes optic-ready with a match-grade, 5.25-inch, hammer-forged barrel. You get a fiber optic front sight and a fully adjustable rear. It runs a short reset MET trigger that breaks incredibly cleanly. The slide is forged steel with a melanite finish for superior corrosion resistance. The grip texture is aggressive enough to stick, but it will not cheese-grater your hands. The magazines hold 16 rounds of 10mm. You get full-size control over a big-bore cartridge that used to be the exclusive domain of wheel guns. The ammo is not cheap. You are paying $30 to $45 for a 20-round box of the serious defensive stuff. But this is not for punching paper at 7 yards. This is the round guys carry in bear country. This is what rides in the truck when you leave the paved roads behind. More shooters are making that jump because the 10mm gives you a margin of error that lesser calibers simply do not possess. Number 4. The Barrier Blind Specialist, 357 SIG. And if that balance of power and speed still does not scratch your itch, let us dive into a bottleneck round that slices through barriers like it has a personal vendetta. The 357 SIG. The first 357 SIG I ever chambered was not at a media event. It was for a buddy who asked me what I would carry if I needed a flat-shooting, hard-hitting pistol that could still ride on my belt without printing. I handed him a SIG P229 in 357 SIG. Not because it was exotic, but because it was a surgical solution to a tactical problem. This cartridge is not about flash. It is a necked-down 40 S&W case firing a 9mm projectile with one specific mission: defeat barriers cleanly. A 125-grain spear gold dot clocks around 1,400 feet per second. We are not talking 9mm plus P here. We are talking about real, sustained velocity that stays flat past 50 yards and still expands reliably after punching through auto glass or car doors. The SIG P229 eats this round like it was born for it because it features a stainless slide milled from bar stock and an alloy frame that can truly take the punishment. The locking lugs are much beefier than the 9mm variants, and the recoil system is perfectly tuned to handle that sharp snap without battering the frame. It feels like a solid piece of steel in your hand for a good reason. You do not carry this round to be trendy. You carry it when you prioritize velocity, precision, and a cartridge that was designed from the drawing board to specifically outperform 9mm on hard targets. Number 5. The Flamethrower, 22 TCM. And lastly, we have the 22 TCM. Walk into an indoor range with a Rock Island Armory 22 TCM 1911 and crack off a few rounds. Every single head in the room will turn. Not just because it is loud, and trust me, it is loud, but because the report sounds like absolutely nothing else on the line. That sharp, fiery, concussive blast is a wake-up call to the 9mm loyalists. The 22 TCM is not trying to be an alternative. It is pushing to be a superior option for shooters who care about speed and control in a platform they already know. This round is a bottleneck cartridge based on a shortened 223 Remington case, firing a 40-grain projectile at roughly 2,000 feet per second out of a 5-inch barrel. That velocity does not just flatten the trajectory. It punches through body panels and hard barriers with ease, yet it keeps the recoil impulse softer than a standard 9mm. That is the strange magic of this system. You get Magnum-level speed, but with surprisingly little muzzle flip. Rock Island's TCM series is the main launchpad for this caliber. The standard FS model is a full-size 1911 with a Parkerized steel frame. You get a fiber optic front sight, a skeletonized trigger and hammer, and a 5-inch ramped barrel specifically built to handle the TCM's pressure. It uses a delayed blowback system perfectly tuned to the round, and best of all, it ships with a 9mm barrel and recoil spring for easy caliber swapping. The magazines hold 10 to 17 rounds, depending on the configuration. Ammo runs about $25 to $35 for a box of 50, and Armscore is the primary producer. That does limit your supply chain a bit, but in return, you are getting something few pistol rounds can deliver: rifle-like velocity and a sidearm that genuinely feels like a tuned race gun. Go into any decent gun shop these days, and the conversation around 9mm does not hit the same way it used to. It is still the workhorse, without a doubt. But more folks, guys who carry daily and guys who train hard, are asking for something more specific. And I get it completely. I've been on the range with 357 SIGs blowing through glass like it's wet paper. I've watched the 10mm flattened steel targets that the 9mm just nudges. And I have personally seen how flat and fast a 5.7 by 28mm runs out of a PSA Rock or an FN 5.7. These are not just alternatives. They are concrete solutions to specific problems that the 9mm cannot always solve. The shift is happening because we are not stuck with just one tool in the toolbox anymore. You have defensive loads now, like Federal HST in 10mm or Spear Gold Dot in 357 SIG, that hit harder and penetrate deeper. And the 22 TCM? That thing is basically a handheld varmint round that fits right into a 1911 frame. Faster, flatter, and with less recoil than you would ever expect. The old argument was always about cost and availability. But now the guns are out there, the ammo supply is definitely catching up, and more shooters are getting smarter about exactly what round fits their unique mission profile. If you enjoyed this detailed breakdown, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below: are you sticking with the 9mm, or are you making the jump to something more specialized? I want to hear from you and see what you are running. Until next time, stay safe and keep training.